I sure did.
Hello, Julie Beavers.
Hello, Missy Bird, Dr. Bird. It's funny, I felt a little bit nervous this morning, and then I was like, oh yeah, it's Missy.
No need for feeling nervous.
I know.
I love that you are out in your beautiful forest.
I know, I do too. And I just poured hot tea. His sweater was blue, and now it's red because it changes color with the heat.
I want a Mr. Rogers mug that changes color.
Right? I know. I will get you one. I will send it ASAP. I got it from a lovely client.
I am so happy you are here with me today. For those of you that are watching, Julie and I met at a retreat in Savannah, Georgia, what seems like forever ago, but probably wasn't. And we just fell deeply in love with each other because we got to talk about Jesus.
Yeah. Not at first. We didn't fall deeply. We were like the rom-com where like they start out in a little bit of like a resistance.
Mm-hmm.
That has actually been my experience with the people I love the most.
Yeah. It was like a wondering though. Like I really like, but when we found those things to talk about, this is why I love talking to you, because we are not always on the same page about everything.
Yeah.
And it just makes the conversation so much richer and lovelier. It's just so delightful.
It brings out the very best in both of us, I think.
Yes, it stretches me to places. And that's what I love about doing this work. And that's what I'm really loving about this series too. Like thinking about how to stretch in love. Like, come on. So good.
Yeah.
So Julie, will you tell people a little bit about who you are and what you do in the world?
I will. I work in trauma and crisis. I work as a chaplain where I deal with a lot of grief and trauma and the nitty gritty, ugly things that, especially here in the United States, we don't really know how to deal with. We don't, we just weren't taught, and yet we all have trauma. So I was originally trained in the Sacramento area for trauma and crisis work. And we don't go in and like preach or even pray unless people ask, but it's more meeting people where they're at. So we deliver death notifications for the coroner's office. We are on suicide scenes and homicide scenes and tragic crashes, and we come alongside law enforcement and fire, and also schools that have tremendous trauma. So I started with that. People ask me how long I've been a chaplain or a life coach, and all my life. There's not a starting point for me. But doing the work in the capacity I do now, I've been coaching for about 10 years. So and then that, it's kind of like transitioned into different areas, but I got really actively involved in suicide because so many call outs that I was going on were people dying by suicide and completing suicide. So I started wanting to learn everything I could about that, and having come from a place where I had suicidal ideation at points in my life before as well. I just wanted to dig in because we talk about like the statistics of suicide, but we don't talk about how many people survive, how many people thought about suicide. And I don't really know a whole lot of people that never have contemplated ending their life. But it was definitely for me, like I wanted to get in there, and we all have the option to die by suicide, right? We all have the option to self-harm and do things that are a slow suicide. But how many people are front and center saying, there's other options too, like that's available to you. However, there's other options. So I've done a lot of suicide work. I ended up being a hospice chaplain for a couple of years, and that grew me and shaped me in ways that I can't articulate just yet. And then when COVID hit, I had the opportunity to, right when COVID hit, the first week in April, I deployed to New York City and got on the plane with only a couple other people on board. And my brain was screaming, no, danger, go home, where it's safe. And I went and worked with the frontline medical staff in New York City. And then I ended up deploying to Texas, which was a whole other beast because I stayed there for 5.5 months. So, and finished out that year, 2020, 2020 in Texas. So, and then on the side, which I'm actually transitioning a little bit more from chaplain work to my coaching business, because it's what's always been there, and it's always been like kind of my little side gig, but I'm coaching a lot more now. And primarily I coach first responder families. So fire, because that's my heart. I'm a firefighter wife of almost 30 years.
Wow.
And and law enforcement. So their families in crisis. We talk a lot about the things that go wrong with police officers and also with fire. And I want to get in there and see what we can do to heal that. So I like working with chiefs and battalion chiefs in the upper levels, because I feel like if we can heal from the leadership down, right? Yeah. So
oh my God, I love you so much.
It's a long story, but that's
no, it's good. It's really good. So one of the things that I love about you is that you have taken your deep faith in God and spirit and used it to help others at the most pivotal times in their life, in the middle of grief. And one of the things I love about you is, and this is, I think, where you and I are very similar, is we don't run from grief, we run into grief.
That's right.
And so one of the questions that I wanted to ask you is, what do you think happens when people deny their spiritual connection to something bigger than they are?
I think that for a little while we can all get away with it, right? We can get away with it. It's kind of like when you have parents that are annoying and looking at you, and you're like, look away from me, I'm doing my own thing, right? But then as time goes by, there's like this, there's just a hole, there's something missing. And I kind of think of it like, and I used the analogy before of like a vehicle. Like a car is made by a manufacturer, right? And if you have a vehicle you really care about and you want it to run right, typically you want to take it to like the specialist who created it, who has all the parts and pieces, right? Who has just the right parts, those OEM parts, right? And so I think about our creator like that. Like, I believe that we are created. This creator, this God, whatever you want to call it. And so who better to go to when we typically go in crisis, right? Because we think we can do okay otherwise. But it's like when that car is in the ditch, we want to get it running right. So when people are missing that, it's just not gonna run the same. It's not gonna run with the impeccable fine tuning it could.
Yeah, I think what you're saying, because we call it so many different things, right? We call it the universe, we call it God, we call it spirit, we call it creator, we call it all these different things. I actually love that you said that, because I was in the middle of Rebel School yesterday, and I was saying to the people in Rebel School, I was like, we are of nature, just like the trees and the rivers and the bees and the birds and the gorillas and the, and the monkeys, like, and the giraffes, like, we are created by nature. We are created and we are a piece of it. We're like intertwined with it. And I watched the women in Rebel School go, like, how is it that we've gotten so far away from acknowledging that we are naturally created beings that are not meant to be perfect?
Right. This is what I love about my conversations with you, because I'm like, yes, preach it. And there's like this, it's so interesting, because I think about when I met you, and automatically there was this like default of looking for where we're different, right? And yet the minute that I recognized how much we are the same and the things that matter the most, none of the differences mattered, and it's like we get caught up, I think, as people, in looking for how we're different and looking for how we're set apart, and we use it to either make ourselves bitter or better. We either like do this compare and despair kind of thing where we're like, we're not as good as them and we feel worse about ourselves, or we put ourselves on like this, we're better than, right? And better than the nature. better than the birds in the sky. Or we can read the biblical package, a passage about how God takes care of the birds in the sky and they want for nothing, right?
Yeah.
So it's like we do this back and forth. And could I have done away with the default of how are Missy Bird and I different, right? And just run to, and I remember it was like this Christianese thing, and I'm like, do I speak Christianese? Because I don't want to speak Christianese, and it was like, well, I don't even know if I do or not. I was raised in the church all my life. I don't know, right? How would I know if I speak with that accent if it's where I come from?
Yeah.
Right. So we automatically like look for the differences. And this is the marriage work I do with people, right? It's like, look for the same, like you at one point were on the same team. I was sitting with a young couple last night, my daughter, there was a group, like my family, we all went out and we were asking this very new young couple, like, so why each other? Like, what about each other? And they're like, oh my gosh, everybody talks about like, we're like just a male and female version of each other. We're just like the same person, just, it's like, and I'm just thinking, okay. And what happens when they start seeing the differences?
Right.
Are they going to celebrate that? Or is that going to push them away? Because that's kind of what we end up doing, right?
Yeah. And I think what's more risky is celebrating the similarities.
Yeah.
Right.
So why? Good. Why?
Well, because here's the thing. Here's what I was thinking about. Like, if we see each other as co-creating human beings, who are intricately, the similarity is that we are humanity, right? Yeah. Then that eliminates our capacity to despise other people, or criticize other people.
Well, then what are we going to do all day?
I don't know. We might actually love each other for a change. Right. Wouldn't that be something? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yes. So, what are you holding space for right now, Julie?
After I've talked to you, but I'll share with your audience that the 2020 was difficult for me in a different way. 2020 actually wasn't difficult for me. 2021.
Yeah.
Right? Because all of a sudden I was just alone with myself. I came home from being deployed for almost the entire year. Everybody else was in. Is my connection okay? It's saying my connection is unable. Isn't that fascinating? As I start to share.
As you start to share, your connection got a little wobbly.
Is it okay?
You're fine. We can hear you if you talk slow.
My connection got wobbly. Okay. And it's interesting because I was so connected to the work I was doing that I disconnected from myself. My body started misbehaving and I didn't have time for that. So I just kind of shut it down. I just kind of decided, like, listen, we got work to do. Kind of like pushing your car, right? You're going to push your car, even though like it needs an oil change, tires might need to be rotated. I felt that and I taught that, I preached it, but I wasn't living it toward the end of that deployment. I was just kind of pushing through because the work was so important to me. So 2021 was a painful awareness of what I had done to my body. And coming back from that has been a windy road, because while I would like to say I've held beautiful space for myself to heal, I did not. No. I did not. No. I did what I watch others do that I work with, firefighters, when they go on a terrible call out, right? Terrible call, maybe involving a child. That's what kind of gets them all. But the rest of the crew seems okay, right? And so they make that mean like, I must not be cut out for this. I must be the weakest link. Something's wrong with me, right? And instead of talking about it, because that would further distance them, right? Because you have the crusty old firefighters. I know a few of those, may be married to one. Well, it's not everybody's cut out for this, right? So as a chaplain, when my wheels were falling off, I was like, I can't tell people I did the same thing that I teach people not to do, right? And just went like, my wheels are falling off, but what does it make it mean about me and the work I do if I'm not doing it from a place of health that I preach? And so, and teach, right? And want for people. And I wasn't wanting that for myself. I just wanted to keep going and ignore those check engine lights. And so I did for a while. and it caught up with me, right?
Yeah.
So
Nearly
that's
killed
what I'm
you.
holding space for now, is like
Mhm.
not just my healing space, but yeah, of course I need that. Of course I need to go in for some maintenance. Don't we all? We're humans, right? And it's hard when you get really caught up in the spiritual work to recognize and be okay with the human part, to be okay with it, and not just okay with it, but to love it and say, thanks for calling me back. Like,
Yeah.
thanks for this wake up. I needed it. I didn't know my wheels were out of alignment. Have you ever like gotten new tires on a car and you're like, what?
Oh, totally. I just got the Camaro, like the transmission flushed on my Camaro. And I went and took her for a drive. Like, and I took her
Yeah.
for a drive. Like, I was going probably 95 miles an hour on this just straight stretch, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh God, like I've forgotten how good this car runs. And I called Tony and I was like, dude, it's running like it did when I bought it, right? And so, but I love this. Oh God, Julie, so many things. Like I love, for so many of us that do spiritual work, so many of us that do intuitive work, so many of us that are doing readings and connecting with spirit and talking to God and preaching and teaching and doing all this work. And I'm not calling it labor on purpose because it doesn't feel like that.
Yeah.
But it is deep, energetic work that takes energy. And I think sometimes we hold ourselves to a different level and think, no, I can barrel through. No, I can make this. No, I can push through this. When really what we need is to lay down and flop down in warm whoopee pajamas and like curl ourselves up into a, I like the ball. I like the fetal position. And I just love laying there and going, oh.
Yeah. It's like the eagle. What you're saying reminds me of the eagle. Like when eagles are, when they eat something poisonous or they have any kind of toxins in their body, they fly to the highest mountain and they spread their wings and they lay there and let the sun draw out the toxic, draw out the poison. And I think of the sun, right, as the son of God. And that I knew I was slowly filling with toxicity. I knew that my body wasn't running right. And yet I wasn't taking the time to go to that highest mountain. I was running on what was before, all the strength that I had before in the work that I did. And eventually that does get depleted, not because I'm not good at what I do.
Nope.
Not because I don't love God and serving him, not for any other reason, except I wasn't taking that time to really connect with my body and spirit, right? I was running on this supernatural strength, which was amazing. And
you're
also
human.
Very hurtful. Yes.
And you're human.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's so good. What is so I have this great friend, Stephanie Zong. She's so lovely. Yeah. And we were having this amazing conversation about pain, like, and suffering and surrender. And one of the things she asked me, and this is why it became a question for this series, is what is the pain? Like, if you look throughout your lifetime, what is the pain that grew you the most?
Damn. That's why I do what I do, right? My husband left me. My husband left me. I had 3 little kids under the age of, I think at the time, and they were like under the age of 7. And I was a stay-at-home mom and I depended on him, and he left me. And not only did he leave me, but he chose somebody else. Right? Yeah. He had feelings for somebody else that he had developed and allowed that foothold to come into our marriage. And I didn't know where he was for a period of time, maybe a month. It felt like a decade.
Right.
And, I married him when I was 18 years old, and I had my babies at 20, 22, and 24. And here I was, like, not even 30 years old, and left, abandoned. And I wanted to die. I really wanted to die. And I would, the guilt I felt for only being able to pour cereal and milk for my children, because I couldn't do anything else. And I would stand in the shower and cry. And I would sit in the bathtub and think about drowning myself. And I would drive somewhere, like to the grocery store, to get milk with my kids and think about going off the road.
Yeah.
And sit in my master bedroom closet and scream into a pillow so my kids couldn't hear me.
Mm.
And it was a painful experience, and I met Jesus there.
Mm.
And I'd known him all my life, and every summer I'd go to Christian camp and get born again.
Again and
And,
again.
Yeah. And I want that Jesus. I want that Jesus. But that was the Jesus that I was raised to know. And he was just always there. Sometimes I wanted him to look away. But in the bathtub when I was abandoned, that's where he met me, in that place. So it's where I learned who I was, that my value wasn't whether or not my husband loved me or another woman more. It wasn't whether or not I was a good mother. It wasn't whether it just wasn't about any of that.
Yeah.
I was just worthy and wonderfully made. And I mattered, and I mattered to so many people, and I'd lost sight of that. I mattered to God, and I lost sight of that.
Yeah.
And so that through that pain, I discovered so much, just so much, who he is, who I am, what I'm called to do. So that's the work I've been doing with fire marriages for years and years and years, mentoring marriages and coaching marriages. And because I'm not alone in that. There's many, many, many people that hit, and I'm finding now that people hit their 20 something years of marriage. So I'm at 29 this summer. My husband and I, obviously, we reconnected and did the work. And it's been amazing. We both transformed. I won't say he just we both transformed and chose each other and chose this life. And it's phenomenal. And so that's what I teach other people how to do, that there is so much hope and so much goodness. So that's the pain.
I love what you said.
My greatest.
Like that we are holy and beautifully made, not just holy HOLY, but holy WHOLLY.
Completely.
We are,
yes.
And that is the thing that I really hope people realize from these conversations that I'm having with all of you. And like one of the common threads that is just being woven through these conversations with all of you is this idea of connectedness to ourselves and connectedness to our spirits, because Megan Watterson, who's one of my favorite writers, she talks about how the body is the sole purpose of this body is to be a vessel for the soul. And like, because the soul comes here and is like, what are we doing today? Right. And we're like, I don't know. And it's just this, every day is a different moment to learn and to choose. Do I withdraw? Do I expand? Do I withdraw? Do I expand? And sometimes we're all about withdrawing and having really crappy things happen to us and sitting in the bathtub and contemplating going off the road. And sometimes we're like expanding into these beautiful adventures, and the whole way there is this guidance system that we have that just, if you listen, it goes, do this. And you go, oh, okay. And sometimes you go, no, screw you, I'm not doing that. And then
it's like the choose your own adventure.
Yeah, choose your own adventure. Yes, thank you for that reminder. Choose your own adventure. And you still end up getting back on the path, but sometimes you torture yourself.
Right. You were the one that gave me permission last year.
I know.
To just kind of draw in and to ask like what needed to be healed, and that was okay.
Yeah.
You were the one that gave me permission and said like, this is your time. This is the work that you can do right now. Yeah. And it's your greatest work. And here I was feeling like such a failure. So thank you for that. Thank you for speaking that truth into my life.
You're welcome. I love you.
Yeah, I love you.
So one of the things I've been doing the last year in particular, I would say, is really connecting to, I used to say that the earth was dying. And I had a really beautiful friend of mine say, no, she's not. She's just course correcting. And I was like, oh, and she said,
that's so good.
Creator, made the earth and everything in it, right? And if creator made the earth and everything in it, then the earth knows how to sustain herself no matter what we do to her.
Yeah.
So that got me to thinking, and this is my next question for you, darling.
Yeah.
What do you think would happen if we all listened to our Mother Earth? And so this also came because I got to preach about Jesus turning water into wine. So I had this conversation with Lou about how we're not actually killing the earth. She's just course correcting. And then I got to preach about Jesus's mother sitting there going, come on, buddy, show him what you're made of. Like, you can do this. And he's like, I don't think so, right? And I was thinking of Sean and me having to push my kids and like being like, show him what you're made of, buddy. And then I started thinking about what if we just listened to our divine mother, like our holy mother. If we just listened to the Mother Earth, what do you think we would hear?
That's such a good question. Gosh, what if it's nothing's gone wrong here?
Oh, nothing's gone wrong here.
Like, nothing's gone wrong here. There's so much that's right. We get so distracted by the injustices, which are so important to acknowledge, and there's so much right. I was just reading a study about 2020 and people's level of happiness. And here we think like 2020 destroyed people. So many people talk about being happier because they found connection in being together, whether it be the mask mandates or then vaccines or whatever it is. People found connection. People found a way that they could team up and partner up with other people, with like-minded people. And it did create a lot of distraction and divisiveness, but it also allowed for so many people coming together. So I think if nothing's gone wrong here, and like if we really focus on what's gone right and what is going right every day, right? And it's like that Buddhist saying, drop by drop, you fill the bucket, right? Drop by drop. Yeah. It's not going to happen overnight, but drop by drop. And so, and the other part of that is something like a wise woman gathers those drops of goodness, right? So what can we be doing in our drop by drop? The universe, Mother Nature's already doing it, already giving us the drop by drop. Like I sit in my backyard and I just listen to the birds sing. And that's sometimes my drop by drop, just acknowledging the goodness, what's going right. Yeah.
That is one of the things that I have just really so appreciated about the work that I get to do with people is those moments, Julie, where I'm like, when is the last time you just laid in bed without moving and looked around the room and thought about 10 things you're grateful for in the room, right? Because so often we get up, we go, right? We get up, we move as fast as possible, probably because we're middle-aged and have to pee, but that's another story. Yeah. But like, right, like we get up and go. And if you give yourself 5, it doesn't take, it takes like 2 breaths, right? Yeah. Just to inhale and exhale and inhale and exhale, to look around and go, God, I'm so grateful. I was laying in bed this morning, Julie, and there's this painting Jim bought me that hangs right in front of our bed. And he found it randomly on the internet of the beach in Southern California where we first talked about getting married. And it literally has the alcove. It's not a normal place that gets painted of Orange County, like, because it's right by Laguna Beach. So everyone always paints the same thing, but it's just north of that. But there was a little alcove we were sitting in at like 3:00 in the morning when we talked about getting married the first time. And he found it randomly. So it sits in front of us. So this morning when I woke up, I looked at it and I was like, dang, it makes me cry.
Yeah.
Dang. That was like 11 years ago.
Yeah.
That we sat on that beach.
Yeah.
Where did that time, what? Like, it feels like it was yesterday, right? And I think
totally,
that drop by drop is about acknowledging the shit, right? That what's
Yeah.
gone wrong, right? The injustices of the
Yeah.
world, the things, and then going, what are just the little tiny things in my surroundings right now that are so right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
And that's grounding and connectedness, right?
yes.
It really, like, that's a grounding tool. I go into like even like an elementary school and
Yeah.
teach kids that are completely like in trauma.
Yeah.
Look around for 5 things that you can see right now,
Yeah.
5 things that you can smell right now, 5
Yeah.
things that you like to taste, 5 things you like to hear. And I do that in my own life. Like, I come out and I put my bare feet on the earth and I go, what 5 things can I hear right now that maybe I didn't hear yesterday? Right? What 5 things can I smell right now? Right? And really, it just is so grounding and so connecting. And I think if we could do that every day, right? And you can apply that to like, what 5 things do I love about myself? What 5 things do I love about my partner? Right? I mean, just looking at like the ways that you can connect and lean into love.
Oh, I
So good.
love being with you because I literally just
Same.
said yesterday that do some 5 senses. I said this to my clients all day yesterday.
Yeah.
Do some 5 senses feeling.
Yes.
What would it taste like? What would it smell like? What would it look like? What would it feel like? What would you hear if
Yes.
you were doing the thing that turns you on the most and makes you the most
Yes.
excited? And they were like, "Whoa!" I was like, 5 senses feeling. Like, how can we incorporate
Right.
all of that? Because sometimes we hear with our eyes.
Yeah.
Sometimes we see with our smell.
Yeah.
And like, oh God, how cool is that?
Yeah. It's mind exploding. It's very,
So
very cool.
beautiful. So
Yeah.
I love you. I love you. Okay. And here is my last question for you. So this comes from a conversation with the lovely Karin Gillen, who is the reason I'm
love
doing tiny bits of love because of Karin. And I love that Karin did not know that we know each other. And she's like,
I
you
know
should
that
really
was so
interview
funny.
my friend Julie. And I'm like,
you guys
okay.
need to connect.
So good.
I love it.
Sarah Magnoni says hi, by the way.
Oh,
So
kisses
part
back.
of the reason all of this, I decided to have these conversations is that Karin was driving up here to see me from Eugene and
Jealous, immediately jealous.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And past all the homeless people sleeping on the side of the road. And because that's what we do in Oregon. We don't actually give them housing. We just let them sleep wherever they want. That's another topic. But Karin and I were talking about how and it's shitty not to give people housing. So how we dehumanize others to justify crappy behavior. And because if you can dehumanize the homeless, they become less than, and then we don't have to worry about the fact that we're not coming together as community to help those people, right?
Yeah.
Those people.
Yeah.
So what do you feel like, what role have you seen dehumanization play in the work of justification and also in the work of healing? How does dehumanization come into play for you? How do you see it?
Yeah, so justification and I would say healing. I think that again, it goes to looking for what is different, right? Because if we can set ourselves apart, it's that it'll never happen to me, right? It really, I think, comes from a place of helplessness. People see it, but they don't know what to do about it. So it's more of like a look away. Because it's helplessness, just helplessness. The people that don't dehumanize the homeless are the ones that are looking for the ways to help them, to serve them, right? So they see them, right? So the people that want to look away.
Yeah.
So I think it's look away so that I don't have to participate in something that I really don't know how to participate, what to do to make it better. So, gosh, as far as the healing, I'm trying to figure out, I mean, to me, it all kind of goes hand in hand. I think people can justify pushing somebody away because they don't want to be like them and they don't know how to help. They don't know what to do to make it change.
I think that the word grief just keeps popping into my head.
Yeah.
I think that's why we just don't grieve, right? We
Yeah.
dehumanize our own selves.
Yeah.
So that we don't have to grieve.
Yeah.
The loss. Yeah.
Yeah.
Julie.
Yeah.
So beautiful. I could sit here and talk to you all day.
Same.
I have a surprise question that I'm asking everybody at the end of our little talking togethers. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
If you could have anything in the world to eat right now, what would you eat and why?
Oh, to eat.
What would you eat and why?
Because it's morning time. I live in a little tiny town that has something that I've never seen anywhere else. And I've actually had friends that came here and picked some up to take home so that they can have at home the next morning. But in this little tiny town, there's this bakery. It's like a little shop and it's called Grandma C's. And she makes bagel bombs. And it's a bagel filled with like whatever. It's like egg, jalapenos, cheese, bacon or sausage, whatever. But it's a bagel filled with this stuff. And you get it and it's hot and it's delicious.
I'm on my way.
So that would be
I'll see
it.
you in a minute.
A bagel bomb from Grandma C's.
I'm getting in the Camaro that has her newly flushed transmission. I'll see you in a minute.
Yes.
Julie, I love you so much. Where can people find you if they know of people who can use your amazing healing first responder coaching?
Facebook is my favorite.
Facebook is your
place.
fave?
I have a website that I haven't gone. I have looked at a website for several years. Don't know how to, I just don't. But Facebook is my favorite thing. I love Facebook. And people talk about it's going to go away, whatever. I'm like, please no, because it really is my favorite thing. It's because of connection.
Oh, yeah.
Connection. So I love Facebook. So that's where
I love Facebook too. I don't have anything against Facebook. I'm a fan of it. But
yeah,
there it is. Julie, thank you so much for joining me from your beautiful forest today.
Thank you for asking me.
I love you.
I love you too.
For those of you that are watching, don't forget to go to naturalbornrebel.com and sign up for my amazing newsletter. Speaking of websites, also, when you sign up for my newsletter, you get an amazing group of masterclasses with me that are all about connecting to the divine feminine spirit and all sorts of other magical things. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for joining Julie and I today, and we'll talk to you soon.